Hi, I'm Kelly, and welcome to Hanging with Howdy. I have a lot of news for you this week. Number one is I've got the van good enough to go camping in for a week-long camping trip. Uh, but before I show you a tour of what I've done so far, I do want to give a little bit of a recap of how I got from there to here and where I'm going. In May of 2026, so May 20th, I purchased this van. My intention is to convert it into living and working space and to vacate my current apartment in April of 27 and live a nomadic lifestyle. See how that works out for me. My intention when I purchased it was to take my time building it out, doing it one step at a time, paying cash as I go. I'm going to need, vents installed and things like that, and just kind of make it up as I go along. However, as I was installing insulation, I decided to join some friends on a camping trip to the mountains of New Mexico at the end of July. So all of a sudden everything was a little bit accelerated and my plans shifted a little just because I wanted to do, what I could on my own with what I had or minimal expense without really a true build. And so I proceeded at. I hustled and I finally got the insulation installed, which was way longer than I thought it was going to be. And then I started tackling things. Now, I did have some stuff in my minivan. I had turned that into a tiny little camper, and it was a great weekender. But I had a cot in there, I had a fridge in there, I had a Blue Eddy in there, and some cookware, the hot plate and everything. So I was able to use some of that, and then the Amazon helped me a lot. But this is what I did. I want to show you around it, and then then I'll be going camping, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later. So let's go take a look at Howdy. All right, so this is the entranceway to Howdy. This is the side sliding door. And as you see, I have a little stair light. That's going to be my clothing and bathroom space. That was already in my house. And you'll see that I have a hippy dippy shower curtain here. And then on all the walls, I just want to bring your attention, and the ceiling, I went crazy buying basically just shower curtains, and I'm using magnets to secure them. None of this is permanently affixed. I can tear it down in a few minutes, but I thought it would give a kind of a light, vibrant view into my world. So let me step in and tell you a little bit about each component. This kitchenette is from IKEA. It was very simple to put together. I had no problem doing it all by myself. And then I installed two jugs down below, one for intake, one for the gray water, and then a simple USB powered pump goes there. All right, and then over here in the middle, now if I maintain this layout, I think I'm going to put some sort of big floor to ceiling storage container. But in the spirit of using what I had, I pulled out this tiny little thing, and that's going to be my hardware, kitchenware storage area. And then when I travel, I cover it all up and secure it all down. Again, the hooks. I have lots of little fans to hang all over the place. And then let me just skip over here to the bed. This cot was in my minivan, but it was not as tall. So I did expand it using PVC pipes so that it would go over the wheel well. And then underneath the bed, I have my little potty. And then behind the bed, there's plenty of storage back here. I have a couple more water containers. And then hanging from hooks is rain gear, camp chair, more rain gear. I think it's going to rain because it will rain where I am, and a big old walking stick. And then this table over here, this wasn't part of my plan, but once I got the bed up and got the kitchen up, I had this space, and I had this table in my apartment. It was a computer table for my personal computer that I almost never used. And so I decided, let's take this down. And I got to tell you, I kind of like it. I like it being there. I like having this nice clean space to work with and stage things on. And then of course the chair had to come with me, which I'll have to secure down. But in my mind, if I had to work here today, I could, as long as I had Starlink and power, I could do it. Speaking of power, my Blue Eddy is down there. Right now I'm really only charging, some twinkle lights and charging things, but eventually I will have to charge my refrigerator. I didn't mention that. This is my fridge. It does have a fridge and freezer, and I can adjust each side accordingly. And then I do have storage kind of behind that shower curtain area. There's a small space. It's not a ton of storage, but I'm putting soft goods up there like blankets and towels and things like that. Okay, guys, that is the tour of Howdy. Okay, instead of my typical story time, I think I'll just do a recap of the last couple weeks, the lessons I learned, the epiphanies I had. And number one is I can do a lot of things all on my own. I was really impressed with myself on that. Also impressed with how hot I can take it. It's hot here. It was hot in the van. Insulation does help. Fans help. I started work every morning at 11. Every single work day, I came out here at 11 and worked till 12. That was my lunch hour. And then after work, I went to the gym, came home, ate dinner, recovered, rehydrated. And then about 7:45 or so, I would come back out again and work until 9. And that was day after day. So to me, I thought that was pretty cool that I had that kind of, I set in that kind of regimen. Weekends were much longer. I spent a lot more hours here, and it got hotter and hotter, of course, during the heat of the day. And I found that I was responding to it. I was adapting to it really, really well, as long as I could get air and as long as I was staying hydrated. Very impressed with myself. I love the AC. I'd have been living in the AC for years, kind of hermited, and so I'm very impressed with myself in that regard. Another thing that kind of impressed me is everything I did was sort of an experiment. So half the stuff I did I had to do twice because what I had in my mind wasn't working out. And so I would have to do and then undo and then do again, and sweating and awkward positions and things, a lot of on the floor and up, down, up, down, up, down. And I never had a frustrating moment. I never had a moment where I was angry or wanted to give up or anything like that. I kind of handled these tasks with a lot of joy because I'm really in love with this van. I'm really in love with this future that I'm crafting. And that was just really inspiring to me. I would like to credit a couple of YouTube channels that I saw and have nothing to do with van life about this. And that is, there's Tia Weston. She buys old houses that really should be torn down probably in this little town, and she renovates them by herself with the help of her dad and professionals here and there, but she just kind of chips away and restores these houses. And it's just such a huge monumental task to me that I'm just really impressed by how she just keeps at it, and she keeps a joyful attitude. Very similarly is Jenna Phipps. She and her boyfriend have purchased a mid-century modern home in Canada. It's huge house, and it's a huge undertaking. And for a year and a half to 2 years, they've been bringing it from the brink of ruin up to a livable, beautiful home. And to me, that task was just so big. There's just no way you can do that. But they have proved that if you just continue to move on, and at least in the content that they post, they post a very cheerful, loving attitude, and they take each setback in stride. I'm sure there's frustrations behind the scenes, but I do want to credit those two channels, those group of young people that are taking these things that are super hard to do and showing that if you just take it a step at a time, you can do it. Now, building out a van is not a big deal, right? It's especially what I've done. I did it by myself over the couple weeks. it's not that big a deal. But I don't know, for me it was, because I'm kind of lazy, and I don't know, I felt this part. I like to express my gratitude to some people who have encouraged me, and that's all my friends and my family, who are excited about my adventure and encouraging me and just open to whatever ideas I have. And more importantly, thank you so much for listening to me yammer on for the last several years about doing this, because half the stuff I yammer on about, I never do. But the fact that you just, yep, that sounds great. Have fun with that, Kelly. But yeah, here I am. So I really appreciate you being here. And then I'm very, very grateful, but for the last year and a half or so, I've been working on my health and my fitness. And I did it in a way, one of the factors in me doing that and me getting so vigilant about that is I knew I had van life in my future. I knew that I was going to have to be in better condition. And so I have really dedicated a lot of time to that. And I'm very happy that I'm strong and agile at my age. So I was able to do a lot of this on my own. And I have to pat myself on the back. My Blue Eddy was in my minivan. And when it went from my apartment to my minivan, I had to have my maintenance guy here at the apartment do it for me because I couldn't pick it up. It's only 37 pounds, and I could not pick it up off the ground and get it to my van and carry it downstairs. Now, I don't know if I can carry it up the stairs at this point, but when I tried to move it, at some point I tried to lift it out of my minivan just to see if I could, and I couldn't. I could not get it out of the well that it was in. And so at the gym, I've been really working on upper body and my back and, all my lifting skills, slowly getting there. And at least at the gym, I could do 40 pounds. And so I thought, okay, maybe I can do it. And sure enough, I was able to pick the Blue Eddy out of the minivan and carry it over here to Howdy. Not very far. I didn't have to go upstairs and I didn't have to bend over to the ground, but I still did that, and I'm super happy. And so that's a win. Just a little aside, just a thing I'm super proud of. So going forward, like I said, I'm going to be going on a camping trip in a week. And then it'll be in the mountains of New Mexico. It will be completely off-grid. My needs will be very simple during that time. I'm not going to have to cook a lot. So the Blue Eddy will be fine. I'll make sure I'm fully charged when I get there, make sure I have all the water that I need. But then my anticipation is this trip is going to teach me a lot. I'm going to find out what stays, what drops, what do I need to secure better, if these little hooks I have all over are even going to stay. Also, the trip itself, once I'm actually living out of it for a full week, I'm going to find out if this layout works for me in any way. I don't anticipate this being a permanent solution. For instance, I need a lot more storage, and a lot of storage will be going across the ceilings, things like that. But that's tomorrow's problem, right? I'm not going to try to solve for then. I'm just taking it at this moment. So once I get back, I'll probably take a break for a moment, focus on some other personal business I need to take care of, and then start really thinking about what's next for the van. I want to make sure I collect a little bit more money, and it might be venting, it might be the storage cabinets, things like that. Because like I said, I want to do this on a kind of a cash only basis. I don't want to go in any kind of debt building out Howdy. So if you're interested in kind of following along with the journey, please join me. In addition to my van build and my van life situation, I would like to start including some story times with other people, not just me. And I do have a few people lined up who have agreed to participate in that. These are people that are in my life right now. And so I'm giving them some time to noodle that over. And then on this camping trip, I'm hoping to come across some characters that are willing to do that. So if you're interested in stories that have nothing to do with van life, but it has, maybe just from people who have some adventures in their life that when they want to share, or experiences that change them in some way, please, follow, subscribe, so that you can get notified when I am posting something new. Y'all take care.